This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, and our guest is Jason Lamberth.
There's always that mindset which gets developed, and I think it is rooted in the tradition or the environment you grew up in,
For sure. Yeah.
where that fear has been introduced.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, it might be at early age as a child, that okay, if you do wrong, then you're going to get punished.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the idea of love and grace is not really talked about because fear does give you control, and some community leaders want to have control, whether the
Mhm.
pastors
Yeah.
or outside the church. It could
Mhm.
be non
Mm-hmm.
religious setting too, and some parents do that.
Yeah. Also, I think one aspect that growing up where I grew up, and the church that I grew up in, the the Bible was really interpreted literally.
Mhm.
However, if you really read some of the stuff and you take it literally, it doesn't make sense. For instance, like God said, "Don't kill," and then God's telling Moses, "Yeah, go and just kill those whole." There's a lot of symbolism that gets interpreted as literal historical things, and I think that that's one of the probably the main reasons why there's so much disconnect, where you can't look at when you look like when I read now, and not just the Bible but other spiritual texts, I don't look at it literally, especially first. The first thing I do is look at it, what are the symbols meaning? Okay, there's all kinds of numerology and numbers, and they're on 7 days. That's there's all this stuff, like there were 400 years the Israelites were there's in the Hebrew language 400 has a symbol, and there's all this other stuff which is too complicated to get into here. But the point that I'm trying to make is that if you get in and start to learn the symbolism of any of the text, because they're all highly symbolic, just like Shakespeare is symbolic too, like the three witches, these are clues for somebody that's a real seeker, like a mystical, you'll start to be able to interpret things much differently.
Are we allowed to take that place name, or they say, shh, don't take that name?
What do you mean?
Three witches.
Yeah.
Macbeth?
Yeah, I mean that there's so much, like once you start to kind of learn, because all the old texts are so symbolic, but they all knew that language back then. And now I think maybe the good thing about these emojis and is some of that maybe coming back, like when you see the smiley face with this thing, that's a hug, but you wouldn't really know that's a hug if you just dropped out of outer space and like,
I really have to look that up. I don't have my phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the point is that we know these emoji symbols and we can send them to each other, and we can trust that they're going to understand the language. Now there's, it's not cut and dried, but for the most part, and I think when these texts were written, they were written with that emoji mindset of like, they're going to know what this means. But now things have kind of lost that.
There's a passage I don't know, maybe in the book of Genesis. So it starts like on the second month, the second day of second month.
Yeah.
God. And then it continues.
Yeah.
Now I was thinking, is the second month February, or it's something different, right?
Yeah, I mean, usually a lot of times, and I would have to say, but there's a lot of, I think this might be too complicated, and I don't know if we want to get into it, but like just from a Hebrew perspective, because that's what a lot of it was written in, and Greek. So it was mostly written in Hebrew and Greek. So there's a verse in the Bible that talks about, and it was the 10th hour. He was some prophet or something. The 10th hour, but
Bible.
if you take it literally, that's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the 10th hour. Because the Hebrew day starts at 6.
In the New Testament,
Yeah, it's in the New Testament.
John 1:39.
Yeah, and it was the 10th hour.
John 1:39
Yeah.
says,
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
"Come," he replied, "and you will see." So they went and saw where he was staying and
Yeah.
spent that day with him. It was
Yeah.
about the 10th hour.
Yeah. So if you take that literally,
Mhm.
they went to some temple, and he was saying, okay, and that's when they met there. But if you take it symbolically, and it gets a little bit complicated, so I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. But in the Hebrew language, the alphabet, um, there's each one has a number. Like A, for instance, in English, A is it's 1,
Alpha. Mhm.
or and then all the way to Z is 26. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3. You could also do A is 6, B is 12, C is 18. You could go up like that. There's a many different uh, sort of codes that you can use in the Hebrew language, and it's called gematria.
Mm.
So it's basically the alphanumeric code. So A is 1, B is 2, or that's where 666 and all that kind of stuff comes in. These are numerical symbols that have a significant meaning for someone that would know them. So the 10th hour. So if somebody was in Hebrew and knew all of this stuff, they wouldn't look at that and say, okay, that's 4 o'clock. They would look at that and say, okay, 10th hour. So what is the author trying to say here? Let's see, 10. That is the hand is the symbol of the 10th. I can't remember. Yod is the 10th Hebrew, and that has a symbol of the hand, and the hand is symbolic of God's creative power. So humans can build things and make things because they have a thumb and they can grab things, and it's very creative. So so at the 10th hour, that's when that verse is basically saying it's your job to get creative. It's the 10th hour. We're in the temple. We're in the 10th. We're talking get creative and decide what you want, and that's your prayer, and God will bring that to you. So he's basically saying you need to get clear in your mind and figure out what you actually want, and then ask God, which is it's all an internal movement. It's an internal creative movement. So basically, that if you interpreted it literally, it's doesn't mean anything. The 10th hour, so they're having tea at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and that's what they're doing. But if you go deeper, the mystical, the mystic would get it, would say, oh, okay, that's what that's talking about. So stuff like that.
Yeah, this is very interesting. I was watching a documentary, which I didn't finish, about these codes from the Hebrew Bible. And the scholars were all Jewish scholars teaching at different theological schools. And that was fascinating how they calculate or draw these codes. And then they talked about its connection and correlation with the world events or political history. Very fascinating. That's why I think that Bible is not something you should just take few things and just apply those to you. And the reason I'm saying is I have been in churches, or I had an experience with an evangelical church where I think they just have few verses or text. It's sort of Baptist type, coming from the same vein, and that just to feed your mind. And my struggle with some denominations, I try to use the word denomination within the U.S. because when I think of religion, I think of Islam and Hinduism.
Well, that was your world that you grew up
Yes,
in, right?
exactly. So I use more denomination. So there are denominations that think if you just have those memorized or you just know them, you're good to go, you're saved, or you're just Christian or a believer. But I think I value more the mystical side of the traditions too, Catholicism, Methodism, because they do talk about your spiritual growth. They do talk about your inner self, as you mentioned, that a lot of people might say, oh, this is the body of Christ, the temple, the term you used. And, but there's less focus on its edification, its purity, or engaging in spiritual practices that really helps you get stronger from inside.
Yeah.
And I see there's a, as you mentioned, disconnect. I see that there's a lack of such understanding among a lot of Western theologians or church leaders.
I mean, to me, I got into it. I think I started to really uncover a lot of this stuff from a crisis in my life.
The same crisis?
Well, I got divorced, which is a big no-no in my family. But that was like when I really started to look under the rug and see, okay, so what's going on here? Because there's, like I said, if you read these scriptures at face value, I think there's good things there.
Sure,
love,
no doubt,
peace, harmony, da, 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 da. And I think that, as spiritual beings, like you learn first you learn to crawl, then you learn to stumble, and then and eventually you walk. And I think on the spiritual journey, I think it's wise to look at it in the same way. Like you learn your spiritual body, this, in a similar, as above, so below. So the body develops at this rate. There's a pattern. The seed has a pattern. If you plant a strawberry seed, you won't see anything for maybe 2 weeks. You put the seed in the ground, and you put water on it. You're not going to see anything for 2 weeks. If you start to panic after 10 days and like, okay, it's not working, and you got to dig everything up, you screwed it all up.
Right.
If you can, and after 2 weeks, you're going to see something come out. You're like, wow, okay, and you water a little bit more, and then eventually it's going to come out, and then in 4 months you're going to have strawberries. So things have patterns. Things have like a baby is born in 9 months. It takes 9 months, so you can't, and after the baby's been conceived, after it's been, you don't need to do anything else. You just wait, and these are all spiritual, tenets. These are all spiritual principles of plant the seed, and then have faith, and then eventually it's going to come up. I forget the point that I was trying to make.
We were talking about this churches or church leaders, the traditions that don't really talk about or pay attention to the soul and its she's talking about growth. And I think they might use the language, but here's another example. Initially, it did not make any sense to me. I did not understand what was missing. When I was living in the Midwest, I would see couples, and before going to bed, they'll kiss and they'll say, okay, I love you, or they're leaving. Or these people who are living their lives and they have memorized the text and they are very much Sunday church. They know they are baptized. That's why they're saved. A couple of people would say, "Oh, Franklin, you are not like dunked into water. You are not saved, bro." All right. I still haven't. But because that's what they are taught.
Yeah.
And when they are saved, they are good to go. And
Yeah.
I learned this language that, oh, God sees me through this special lens. And I was surprised because of this idea of superhuman. And I still remember someone said to me, a gentleman who was in 60s then, I don't care about this homeless community. There was a community, this was a privileged white town, and they used to call it Chicago community. I haven't seen it. They said they live under the bridge. It wasn't a large community, but that was poor community. And the gentleman said, because we got to save people.
Yeah.
And their idea was, and they would spend, these were wealthy people who would give to their church millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And they would spend that in Africa and India, saving the souls. But I was surprised they were never concerned about humanity, a human being who has emotion and who, because the soul gets hurt or damaged, never that kind of talk. It was few written things, and they were supposed to know that, and they were all set to go to heaven and live here a wonderful life. And also they came from the privileged background. They did not understand what it means to be hungry, or although it's all over the Bible.
Yeah.
So I began using this phrase later on through my own discernment or learning process. What if these people are emotionally numb? Because they don't feel the pain of another human being. They don't feel the cry of another being. Their focus is just on
their soul.
I mean, they would say saved. I don't think they know what they're talking about in terms of soul or whatever.
Yeah.
But for them, saved means if you're saved, you're going to go to heaven.
Your name is in the book, basically. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the biblical way to say.
You're on the
book of life. You're talking about.
You're on the guest. You're on the guest list.
Yeah.
So you're going to get in.
And some of these people would cry, "Oh my God!
Yeah.
There are people in the world.
Yeah.
They're not going to make it."
Yeah. I mean, I have my. I think it's kind of naive, but I think that's the normal way that we learn as beings. Like first you start at the kindergarten level, and then you eventually
end up at Rutgers.
Yeah. and then you come to the realization that, I think, if I can boil it down into a nutshell of my belief system, was I'm saved, which in essence puts the responsibility out of my hands, and that's where the problem comes in. Like it's kind of done, and that's all you have to do. Whereas as I've kind of grown through life, and I still had I think, so back to your question about church, like I do think it was a good foundation for me, because I think with anything, like if you're gonna try a religion, you got to really try it, and trying it implies there's going to be mistakes, and there's going to be misinterpretations, and there's going to be, and sometimes it's not even a misinterpretation. That's how you learn, you know. And I think what I did learn is a lot of the scriptures that are they're very, very simple. Super simple. Basically, like, watch what you say, because your words have power, which as a youngster you don't really understand. Like, I'm physical. I have a subjective or a spiritual side that's kind of like my subconscious, you know, like I'm, you know, if you have done any manifestation kind of research where, like you have to speak to the subconscious, because that's the level of like you might think you know something, you might think you believe something, but your subconscious will uh, let you know what you believe, because eventually you'll have these difficult people in your life or whatever, because you believe that life has to be difficult or whatever, like these beliefs, like money is hard to come by. Money doesn't grow on trees. This is kind of what I grew up with. And then you kind of, as a young person, you don't really realize how wide open you are, and then eventually you grow into this person that's scared of losing everything, because money is hard to come by and it doesn't grow on trees. And whereas if you got taught, like, God always supplies all my needs, or whatever, if you want to take it in a religious place.
Interestingly, because you have also lived in Asia, which we will get to later, but a lot of the Asian religions, they have that kind of mindset. They might not use the very how to say, this black and white belief type, like this is because my religion tells me, but I think you grew up with that idea that money is just a blessing that you get from God. They might use different language for God because of their language or cultural understanding, but I think here it's a little bit different than if you got a blessing, you got money because you were special. And like the term saved, I was going to say something when you said, okay, I'm saved, so I'm here.
Yeah.
If, say, we use the term chosen, because
Mm-hmm.
say you were chosen, so now you're on the guest list, or your name is on the in the book of life, to use the biblical language. All these people that were chosen in the Old Testament and New Testament, they did not have easy lives because they were chosen or they were saved or they were taken out.
I mean, Job is a good example.
Sure,
of that.
Yeah, that's an extreme example.
Yeah.
But did Jesus have a good life? I mean, I know there's a pastor guy I saw on TV. I saw a clip of him, and I think he's from the South, and he was saying, "Oh, if Jesus was living among us, he would not have gone to Jerusalem on a donkey, and that's why I'm going to get a private plane."
Yeah.
And there are people like that.
Yeah.
But in general, you see these apostles, New Testament, Jesus Christ. Then Old Testament, you talk about Job as an example, an extreme example, and it's a great example. But in addition to that, everyone like Moses and in wilderness and all these people were saved to do something, but wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna give $100 so a poor person in India gets saved. Not saved from the poverty, but saved to get to heaven.
Yeah.
And that person might be experiencing hell in this life.
Yeah.
And you've seen that part of the world, so you know it.
Yeah.
That's something it doesn't settle well inside me. That idea, I call it being a superhuman.
Yeah. Well, again, I think yeah, I don't know if we can go there, but let's just go there.
Sure, yeah.
But like the mystical side of things, like for me, like the parable of Jesus riding in on a donkey. All right, so for me, and this is, I don't know if you've ever heard of Neville Goddard, because he's a Christian mystic who I've studied a lot.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I really started studying his work, and he's written a lot of books. He was very popular in the 60s and 70s, major followings, and he lectured in Hollywood and New York, and they called him the mad mystic of 48th Street. He had a place on 48th Street in New York, and then as he got older, he spent more and more time in Hollywood, and but he was on TV. He had a big following, and he reinterpreted the whole Bible because he had studied with a a Hebrew mystic as well.
When you say Hebrew Jewish,
yeah, and
just so all of us know.
Well, yeah, he was actually Ethiopian. He was a black uh, um, elder in Ethiopia in the Hebrew tradition. He was Jewish, and then he had this whole. He was a teacher to Neville. Anyway, long story short, Neville talked about Jesus as being um, a symbol of your imagination, or the potter's wheel. You know, like uh, this is a symbol of your imagination. So we're all on the inside now. It's a subjective world. We're the potter's house is your imagination, is your Golgotha, which means skull. You know, Jesus was crucified on Golgotha, which is uh, another word for skull. So Neville was saying, he was the one that kind of really opened up the Bible for me. It was like, don't take it literally. It's in your literal skull, which means it's all internal, basically, is what that's saying. So Jesus riding in on a donkey. So the donkey is the unruly side of us, the mule that doesn't know how, he's not going to ride you, and you got to really force yourself. But they're stubborn. But if you get them trained, they're very good work animals. But if they're untrained, they're useless. So basically, the body is the donkey. This body is a dying piece of flesh that gets old and eventually will be dead, and that's the donkey. And Jesus is your imagination, which is riding the donkey. So eventually, you've got to get you have to master the body, or the impulses, or the urges, or all of those things. That's Jesus riding in on a donkey. He's riding this body, which is ignorant and lazy and all of those things. And he used all of the disciplines, and all of the 12 disciples are different disciplines. Thaddeus is being grateful. Peter is the rock. You know, all of these, they all have symbols, and they all have, it's like the 12 virtues or something like that. Like, you need to have these, and then you can ride that donkey. But until you've mastered the whole 12 muscles, so to speak, you won't be able to ride the donkey. And Jerusalem is what you want. It's the desire that you want. Okay, you want to have financial abundance. Okay, that's your prayer. So you make that known to awareness, God in the Bible, awareness in the mystic. You make that known, and then if you want to get to Jerusalem, which is financial abundance, you're going to have to ride the donkey, which is this body, and you're going to have to master Thanksgiving, even if you don't see it yet. You still be grateful for it. That's like pray. If you want to pray for it, you have to believe it before you see, as if you've received it. Yeah. That's this whole thing of faith. Is like, you have to really set it in your mind so precise that it's done already. It's finished. You know, and that's when you ride the donkey into Jerusalem. If you can get to that point where it's done, I don't need to do anything. I planted the seed. It's not my job to make it grow. That's infinity's job, or God, or some, you know. So
that's very powerful, and that's fascinating.
For me, that's like, okay, I because Jesus riding on a donkey, all right, it's, you know, whatever. It's dramatic. It's lovely. Yeah. But if he's talking about my imagination, and this is the donkey, and I have to, you know, then that gives, the power is all in here.
And that's what I'm talking about when we focus on the internal meaning and internal growth. It's an internal growth.
Yeah.
Use more muscular language. Yeah. Muscles and gratification, thanksgiving. But that's what a believer That's the term they use, right?
Yeah.
In a lot of traditions.
Yeah.
Should work on, I think. And that's what in Methodism they call it attaining Christian perfection, or actually on the journey toward Christian perfection.
Yeah.
And it's an ongoing journey. It's not something you can do right away, but it needs some work, and it needs commitment.
Yeah.
And the control and the death. And what you were saying early on, a seed, until the seed dies, cannot be resurrected and converted into a plant. Same thing, the skull. Wow, that's very powerful.
Yeah. I mean, that whole dying thing and the seed dying, I mean, that is, in the mystical terms, divine detachment. Basically, it's, I planted it. If I keep going and digging it up and see if it's growing, it aborts the birth of that seed. It aborts it. And
because you kind of, I don't want to use the language because it might be wrong, but you hovering over, you were giving the seed your energy, which is already skeptical and doubtful it's going to come out.
I think that's a very good. I think that's a very good interpretation. You're stressed out, and your body is well, it's a resonator. So if you're like if you keep looking for it, your energy's in the wrong place, because your energy needs, it's done, it's finished. I'm at peace because it's done. It's not here yet, but I just planted the seed on Tuesday. It can't be here yet because there's this process. There's this gestation period, so, and I think we have to kind of look at the spiritual world the same way we look at the physical world. Yes, as you master it, things become immediate. But in this, where we are at this point on the journey, there's a gestation period. So you have to assume, okay, there's a gestation period in the spirit world as well. So I planted the seed. I know it's coming. It's like Amazon. I ordered the milk. It's going to be here on Tuesday. I know I paid for it. I got all of the, and then you don't worry about it.
Right.
Until you come home and there it is. It's in front of my door.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Same thing with prayer and stuff like that. You have to get to the point, and as you kind of get more and more up, you have to really, let go and detach.
Yeah. Some people,
and people don't have their prayers answered because they haven't mastered detachment. And and I don't blame them because it's tricky,
and it hasn't been taught enough. I think I heard very few times, I don't even know which country, but I did hear it from someone, that when you have said something in terms of your prayer, that's it. Even the scripture says what you mentioned earlier, say it as you have received it.
Yeah.
But if you'll keep saying it, which means you don't trust the first one.
Yeah.
You don't trust the process. You're like, I need this.
Well, essentially what's happening is, if you keep testing it, is it there? Is it there? Is it there? The assumption is it's not there.
Yeah.
And believing as if you've received it, the assumption is it's there. I don't see it yet because it's there in the spirit world, which is just as real, if not more real, than this world, because this world is basically the past. This world is seeds from before that have manifested, and here we are.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of look at it in those terms, like everything has a gestation period, even spiritual seeds. So
sure. That's why we use the term spiritual growth. Or, spiritual purity. I'm going to add something here. This past Sunday, it wasn't planned on YouTube, so I don't watch things for hours and hours. And I came across Dr. David Jeremiah, who's a preacher. I don't know from which part of the U.S., conservative, probably. And when I use the term conservative, it was more theologically and not politically, just a correction.
Yeah.
So he was talking about the salvation, the saved idea. And I was surprised to hear he mentioned a lot of Christians think that they are saved, whereas salvation is a process. It's not a boom thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he referred to when Jesus says on the cross, it's finished.
Yeah.
And he said, that is not about the salvation, what you think being saved, that he said, oh, I did something, you guys are saved.
Yeah.
And I only listened to him for probably 5 to 6 minutes, but he was talking about the same idea, which he mentioned when the seed goes into the soil. Now you can't see it. It's done. It's finished.
Yeah.
Now you have to wait
Yeah.
for the outcome.
Yeah.
Or you didn't use the word outcome, but the latter phase of it. And he was talking about the same thing when Jesus said it's finished. It's not about finished in terms of it's finished, it's ready, you go have this because it's your salvation. It's not like that. And which was very powerful to hear because I tried to which is a bad thing to say, stay away from people a little bit who just have this mindset, I'm saved, I'm a superhuman being, and you're not, or you're not dunked, as I mentioned. Because then there's no win-win, and somehow that line, in my experience, it doesn't go away. There's a weird awkwardness and unspoken thing that you're not a real Christian or a believer or
Yeah, I mean, I think for me that's but then if you look at the growth of a like I had to grow through that. I had to grow through because I was identifying the subjective world in an objective way. And it doesn't work like that. Like in the subjective world, prayer essentially is jumping timelines. I see myself enjoying the abundance of whatever, it's in the future. It's not, I'm blocked from seeing it right now because I don't have those spiritual eyes to see that. But I in my in inside in my imagination, it's there. I see it. I'm shaking their hand. They're congratulating me. Let's see. I won an award. Let's say I won an Oscar. I'm an actor. I won an Oscar. I see, in the future, I see people congratulating me and, wow, you won the Oscar. That's amazing. That's my prayer. But it's not here yet.
Yes.
But if you look at it from the seed, like, I planted the cucumbers. Okay, let's stay with strawberries. I planted the strawberries. They're not going to be here for a while. So let's say 2 months later, like I see the bush. I see tiny little buds. I don't see any berries. But I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get, because I want to make strawberry jam. And so I'm going to get all these. So you start preparing for when it's going to be there. You starting making plans like I'm going to get this and I'm going to have a party and I'm going to have people and we're going to have strawberry jam and whatever. But none of that's there yet. However, in your mind, like it's a done deal. I'm going to have strawberries and we're going to make jam. I can start doing these things around it. And that's kind of the same way. For instance, if somebody wants to get married, like in my mind, it's done. Maybe I haven't seen the person yet, but I just know that I'm happily married because that's my prayer. I'm happily, blissfully, I couldn't be happier. She's my soulmate or he or whatever. But they're not here yet. I haven't met them yet.
Right.
But I'm starting to kind of, okay, maybe I'm going to have to start taking care of myself a little bit. You start getting prepared for the ceremony that's coming. And that's the same way. That's like it's a done deal.
Yeah. As if I've received it. That's very powerful.
Yeah.
Great.
And that's more like if you want to get a scientific thing, that's your subconscious. Like your subconscious. So a good parable in the Bible about the subconscious is when Jacob and Esau, and then Isaac was the father who was blind. So Isaac is your subconscious. It's blind. It can't see anything. It can't. You tell me, and he says, let's see, Esau, go find me. I want a meal. I want to bless you with the
right.
yeah. And he's like, okay, get out of here and go. And then the mother, Rebecca, says, listen, he's going to do this. Right, Jacob, you go in and you pretend you go kill a goat, and then you put the thing on, and he'll never know the difference. So he goes and goes, and he comes in. He's like, he's like, Father, bless me with the inheritance. And he's like, oh, you sound like Jacob, but you feel like Esau. And he goes over there. This is all the subconscious. Like when you pray like you've received it. I can feel the let's say if I won an Oscar, who would be the first one to congratulate me? I don't know. My mom. I can feel her hand, like at the ceremony, and then I can smell the perfume that she wears, and you make all of these tones of reality in your mind, and that is Jacob putting on the skin. Like Isaac won't be able to tell the difference if it's Esau, if it's really the Oscar, or if it's Jacob pretending in his imagination that it's the Oscar. Isaac won't be able to tell the difference, and this is kind of like the creative. So that, to me, that scripture now just jumps out at me. Whereas before, when I was learning that as a child,
which was just a story.
It was cruel. My brother. Oh yeah. My brother is older than me. I have an older brother. He's Esau. I'm the lucky one. I always felt like I was the lucky one. This was a terror for me. Like, oh my gosh, it's not fair. My brother, he doesn't get, and I think a lot of scriptures get that's what happens. And for the longest time, I was like, I kind of felt guilty because I got a lot of stuff that my brother didn't get,
Right.
But really, if you take it from the subjective, like the mystical, this is all subconscious. This is all teaching you how to imagine, teaching you how to pray properly. Just bring it and try to envision it. And for you, in order for you to envision it, you're going to have to know what you're talking about. So when Jacob went there, he's like, well, I want my inheritance. I want to inherit all of this. I know what I want, and I know what my subconscious wants. He wants a meal. He said, bring me this meal. And that's basically that's the Garden of Eden. Like, the soil will never reject any seed that you plant. That's the law. It'll just grow. Whatever seed you put in there, it will grow it. You decide what seed and leave everything else to the soil, and that's kind of like your subconscious. Like, I will grow anything for you, but you got to bring it to me. And here's how you do it. And if you bring it not in this way, I'll still grow it. If you worry all the time about, like, I'm not going to fulfill the dreams of my father, I'll never live up to that. You'll never live up to it,
right?
Because that's you're planting that seed, and and you're going to just reap what you sow, which is, he's never going to be happy with me. What you need to reap is, I love when my dad congratulates me on doing something well. That's a good seed, A bad seed is I'll never live up to his high expectations, Is it?
Yeah.
Am I making any sense?
Yes, definitely yes.
Yeah.